Hello, my deliciously twisted. Welcome back to Velvet Crypt for another horrifying Tuesday. But today's Tuesday is slightly special. It's my birthday. So I figured I'd let us sit in my family cemetery here that is known to carry a few spiritual orbs during the night skies. Tonight, we're digging into Rotters by Daniel Kraus, a slow burn horror novel about a kid who discovers that rot isn't just an occasional smell at the edges of life. It's everywhere. If you like your scares patient, sticky, and a little uncomfortable, this one's a tasty, creepy slice.
Welcome to the Velvet Crypt.
Quick heads up before we go any further. Content warning. This book contains violence, body horror, child abuse, and animal death. It's not splatter for the sake of shock. The nastiness serves a theme. On a gore scale, I'd call it low. You won't be bathed in viscera, but it's heavy on the unsettling and the physical. So if close-up body decay is a hard stop for you, consider this a warning. If you're still here, good. You've been warned. Now, I decided to have this episode at my family cemetery because I have a very special guest who I hold very dear to my heart. I'm here with my father. When I finished reading this book, I knew I had to change my roster on what it was going to be for my birthday. It was originally Doll Face because, I really hate dolls. But after I got done reading Rotters, I found that it really spoke volumes as far as when it came to family and things coming full circle. So let's go ahead and get into it. Rotters is available in paperback and digital form at approximately 464 pages. And there's an audiobook edition if you prefer listening for 16 and a half hours by Kirby Hayborn, which I will say I highly recommend. I found that Kirby's voice really accentuated this young adult in the cusp of child to manhood. It's a multi-hour experience, a compact, immersive one. And whichever format you choose, Kraus's pace and atmosphere come across well. Read it in one sitting or nibble at it. It holds up either way. At the heart of the story is Joey Crouch, a 16-year-old honor student who keeps his head down and chases perfect grades for his mom. When his mother dies suddenly, Joey's life is uprooted. He's sent to live with the father he's never known, Ken Harnett, out in rural Iowa, my home state. That setup promises a move and new people, but what unfolds is more about legacy, grief, and the way people can be worn down until they accept what they hate. On the surface, this is a coming-of-age tale. Underneath its excavation of heavier things, guilt, invisibility, and the idea that some wounds aren't just personal, they're inherited, Joey's inner life is dominated by a belief that he's unwanted and a compulsion to be the good kid, even as the world around him deteriorates. The horror keeps tugging at that wound, testing whether he'll cling to the version of himself shaped by his dead mother or become something else entirely. The escalation is a slow, deliberate burn. At first, Ken's neglect is small but telling. Joey's basic needs are overlooked and the boundaries of decency are gradually redrawn. Then Ken starts teaching Joey the practical and cultural rules of grave robbing, how to move through cemeteries, what to take, and why tradition matters to people who've made a trade of disturbing the dead. The education is clinical, almost domestic. And that normalization of transgression is where the real creepiness lies.
The asylum.
By the end, the situation becomes a full-blown lineage tragedy. And you could feel the pressure mounting on Joey until he either fractures or transforms. What stuck with me most wasn't the graves themselves, but how the book uses characters and places as metaphors. The father-son relationship, the isolated house, and the small town's silent complicity all function as symbols of generational rot. The idea that some behaviors and loyalties are passed down, unquestioned. There's a scene that cut deep. After getting beaten up by bullies, Joey reaches out to his best friend back in Chicago and is denied the comfort he needs. That rejection is a pivot point where he starts to accept, with a kind of numb logic, that maybe this new life is his only option. The tension between his desire to remain the good kid and pull toward grave robbing is what gives the book its moral weight. Emotionally, the ending lands somewhere between bleak and weirdly tender. It's messy and human. It doesn't tidy things up or deliver catharsis so much as it asks you to sit with the consequences. I finished the book feeling gross but somehow satisfied, like I'd witnessed something true and uncomfortable. If you're into literary horror that traffics in atmosphere and moral ambiguity rather than jump scares, this will resonate. If you're trying to decide whether to shelve it, think of authors like Cormac McCarthy for the stark moral landscape and Stephen Graham Jones for the way small-town horror can cut personally. If your horror taste skews supernatural and haunted house ghosts, Rotters might not give you the classic paranormal chills. But if you want something that lingers in the mind and chest, it's worth a read. My overall score? A practical 6 out of 10. Not perfect, but it's memorable and well-crafted in the way it explores what kids inherit from their parents. Sometimes love, sometimes rot. If you like this breakdown, like, subscribe, and toll the bell so you don't miss the next deep dive. To kind of do a bit of a deep dive on myself, and the reason why this episode I find to be very special outside of my first YouTube video is that my dad is the reason why I'm doing the YouTube channel and the reason why I'm an audiobook narrator. It's things that I'm passionate about, to have an outlet for my creativity. And my dad always strived and pushed me towards that. And today I turned 44 years old. And my dad, he was 43, 3 months shy of his 44th birthday when he passed away. So, everything that I do creatively is for him. I hear his voice. When I want to do something, I don't think about it. I just do it. Because it's very humbling to think that as a kid, you think your parents are old. You know, you don't think you have a limited amount of time with them. As I got older, I realized a lot of things that he used to say and do made sense as I became a parent myself. And to realize how young he was when he passed away. So it's been 26 years. It's been 26 years since he's been gone. So, wherever he may be, I love you, Dad. If you want to keep the conversation going, join our Velvet Crypt Discord. Link is in the description. Until next time, good night.